Alright, this is Block 3, Progressives in Power, Section 6, Woodrow Wilson, and the section Woodrow Wilson's New Freedom. The election of 1912 pitted three progressives kind of running against each other, and the differences between them were not huge. What I wanted to kind of focus on was what Wilson ran on. If this guy's going to be the first Democrat elected to the presidency since 1892, we ought to have a look at what he believed. And Woodrow Wilson ran on a platform that he called New Freedom. And Wilson's New Freedom, and this is an important one to remember, Wilson's New Freedom believed in competition. Wilson's New Freedom believed in the unfettered competition of free markets. So what Wilson wanted to do was completely break up monopolies and regulate business in order to achieve competition. He did not want government to partner with big business to help run an economy efficiently. He wanted government to regulate business to make sure that competition could flourish. This is very important because it is not the opposite, but it is very different from Teddy Roosevelt's plan, which he called New Nationalism. Roosevelt was much more of a planner, a central planner. Roosevelt, in his New Nationalism, wanted government authority to balance and coordinate economic activity. He wanted kind of labor and business and government to kind of sit down and say, well, this is what we're going to produce, this is how much we're going to produce of it in order to create economic efficiency. Roosevelt's New Nationalism was truly the definition of technocracy, that a bunch of experts, labor experts, business experts, government experts, would get together to regulate business and labor together, and the ideal here is to create a smoothly running economy. Woodrow Wilson, on the other hand, only wanted the government involved to ensure that competition was fair, not to plan an economy. You can see President Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt's increasing belief in the power of the state to regulate and to run and to control the American economy. And that's the difference between New Freedom and New Nationalism. The Democrat Wilson believed in using the government to ensure competition. Roosevelt, by 1912, believes that the government should use its authority to balance, coordinate, and plan economic activity. Roosevelt bases these ideas on a book by a progressive by the name of Herbert Croly, who wrote a book called The Promise of American Life. And Herbert Croly, in this book, writes about how the government can balance economic activity to make things fair for everyone, to make things equitable and efficient for everyone, of course, run by progressive technocrats like Croly. Roosevelt read this book. It really kind of jived with who he was in terms of kind of a mover and a shaker and a go-getter and a guy who always felt the need to be in charge, and Croly's book kind of led Roosevelt to his idea of New Nationalism, government being kind of an equal partner. And if we can kind of draw this, if I can load this up. The idea behind Roosevelt's New Nationalism is that labor, capital, and government all work together. And they all have kind of a job to play, a role to play in planning a smooth running economy. This is Teddy Roosevelt's idea. It is a fundamentally progressive idea, and he got it by reading Herbert Croly's book, The Promise of American Life. He wanted labor, capital, and government all working together to plan a well-run, smoothly running economy. Roosevelt lost. So it was Woodrow Wilson's New Freedom that was going to be put into play, and Wilson's idea was to increase the ability for businesses to compete.